so that it doesn't try to bombard me with video or audio ads. And let's hope that we're live. So, okay, Twitch has twitched, so it's doing something. Hello, everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and it is April 13th. And this is the April 13th TextQuest Devstream. So today we are going to be doing a couple of output-related things. So to show you where the output system is currently, I'm going to play, which apparently is taking a little bit longer for some reason, because it knows it's getting performance anxiety. So currently our output system is, you just type in things, and then we're going to get some text back. So I'm going to say, like, examine self, and we'll get your you. And if we actually look at this menu, UI, container, input, root, output, scroll area, and it should be this text section. Well, both of these text sections. Text sections are just basic text. They're not doing anything special. It's gonna show text. Not gonna do anything. Not animated. No ASCII art. Whatever. It's perfectly fine. Now, if we were to examine, say, a book, which let me go ahead and throw in a book real quick. 3D object cube. Do a couple of things. Model. Zero it out. Let's call this book. And you know what? I'm probably going to need to actually go ahead and go to the cabin for this. Because unfortunately, I don't have a bit of information for the book on hand, so I wouldn't be able to parse. Anyway, one of the things that our output system supports is, of course, ASCII art via specific types of output sections. So if I were to interact with this book and say read book, we will get ASCII art with custom cover, color, and all this stuff. And of course, then we have our interactions that we can do. And that's just another form of input section. So again, if we come down here to UI, view container, input, root, output, scroll area, we have a book section. That's doing the actual ASCII art stuff. Now, the system, it works for now. It works for what we need it to do currently. But there are some features on the horizon that I'm tinkering with that will need a little bit more control. So currently, whenever we make calls to the output field for things like creating a section or outputting anything, it's a void call. So I just call parser dot output text and do all this stuff, or output result, and that's just a simple void function. So it's not going to return anything, but we can pass all of this stuff. And there are two ways going forward that I can try to get a little bit more control. And one of them is to actually have the output result return something. So return some type of input section, which is the root class for all of these types of output objects. Or I can actually pass in settings. And you can see that I have an object called section settings. And that just lets me pass in things like, should there be a space before this? And on the basic level, I think it's pretty much just that. Let me see what actually is in this basic one. Space before and the auto scroll duration, which is just how fast it should scroll. Which for the most part is going to be instant. So if I type examine self, you'll see that it pops in there. Versus if I type read book, we have a little bit of a delay, which actually might be more of a hiccup now that I think about it. I'm going to try. That's actually, that's my Markov chain generation. Markov chain generation is still a little beefy on the processor. So if you're paying attention to the background fire there, you can see that it kind of hiccups whenever it generates one of these books. Probably need to speed that up somehow. In any case, for books, I think it has about 0.1 second for it to actually scroll. And that's because for large ASCII art objects like a book, if you instantly snap, you sort of have this odd moment of adjustment where you're not sure where you are in relation to where you were previously reading. So Things like that need to be passed in. And for things like the book actually has its own book section info. So if we go over here to book section or book section settings, and that lets us pass in a cover color so that we can randomize this and not have the book section itself always randomize the color of the book, because sometimes maybe we want the book to always have the same color. So currently that's where our input system is at. It lets us output specific types of output section, or I guess technically they're called input sections because I wanted to be confusing. So I can have regular text or books or notes or whatever. Those are the only three that I currently have, really. But in the future, I'm actually going to need to be able to pass actual prefabs rather than passing sort of a generic function. So you see I have an output result T, which lets me pass a class that derives from input section to get a specific type of input section. And that currently, like I said, it works now, but we actually need to beef this up a little bit so that I can do things like pass actual prefabs, which I sort of have set up, but I need to add things like passing to prefab and settings and letting all that stuff go in there. So it's not going to be too complicated to get this working. And the reason that I have to add this support is because I'm going to have things like character conversations where you're talking to characters, and they will have their own prefab, but it will derive from the same class. So it doesn't make sense to try and pass a generic function with a specific type, because it's just going to sort of get caught up and not know which one to use. So today, starting off, we're going to add that functionality in. And hopefully that won't take too long, because it's already pseudo in there. But, we're just going to enhance it a little bit. So, okay, so that's the state of things. Let's go ahead and dive right into that. So we have output result, output prefab, and we're going to add a public static void output result. I can't type tonight, apparently. Result string output. Output is the text that we're going to show. We're going to have an input section. We'll have an output prefab. So this is the prefab that we're going to use to show the text. Then we will say section settings equals null. All right. Now, this is actually not going to work yet because it's ambiguous between these two, since I'm using null here. I'm going to see where this is being referenced. I know it was being referenced in a couple of places. Right here is in the character. So we can actually change this. That's good. One of the factors of adding this stuff today is going to be adding section settings to individual objects as a parameter, which is going to be oh so fun. And the reason that we have to do it that way is just because if we don't, I'm not entirely sure where I would pass in section settings, but we'll see. It's going to be a little bit more convoluted than just, adding this new function and then calling it a day. We're going to actually have to add stuff on input objects to make it so that they can correctly do this stuff. In any case, so we're going to say, let's see here. I'm going to need to go to output result, input view, good. Okay. And this is going to be super fun too, because I haven't cleaned up some of the older stuff that I was doing. It's still kind of awkwardly shoehorned in there. So I have new code side by side with old code that's getting, sort of gotten rid of, and that's making it a little awkward to remember where everything is. Ah, man. So let's see. Add text, I believe, is our new functions that we have. And trying to remember which ones I need and which ones I don't. I believe I need add input because that's my convenience method. Yep, for just piping in input text. Let's see. Show single text. Do I need this? This is being used, but only by this. Okay. So I think I'm going to do the thing that I hate doing, which is I'm going to carve out stuff. I'll comment it out first, I guess. And then we'll deal with the errors as they crop up so that I know what should and should not be used. Find all references. Oh, great. This is used in 2 places, both of which are obsolete. Good. Good. Okay, so I can get rid of these. So originally, to sort of explain why I'm getting rid of these, originally output result took a lot of parameters. It took like the string that was being output, whether there should be a space after it, the type that it was, but not like the actual class type, more the enum type, which is dumb. And that's all information that kind of doesn't need to be there anymore because I can handle all of that with just an output string, a prefab, and settings, or just an output string and settings, and a type. That makes it a lot easier to do, and I don't have to have these awkward sort of concatenated things because it's nicely contained inside of objects. So let's see, is this being used anywhere? Good. So we're going to get rid of you. I know that our character stuff is going to complain, but we're not quite done here. Okay, so good. We do have an add text with section prefab. Are we doing this anywhere? No. Okay. And that is fine because it's going to be done here. So we're going to say Let's see. I suppose I should have the if debug here. If debug. This debug line is largely for my own sanity whenever I'm trying to debug information with the parser, because it sucks to try and track down parser errors. So I have this static debug value that I can toggle on or off, and it'll give me a full breakdown of what the parser is doing. So I always need to make sure that I have this in every single one of my parser functions so that I can sort of perform a stack trace on things. Okay. Because a lot of times the parser failing doesn't actually throw an error, it just throws weird stuff out of the parser. Okay, so now that we have that, we're kind of going to copy this here. Copy this, paste this in, and we're going to say add text, no generic brackets, format output, and then output prefab, followed by settings, and text colors default. I believe that is a valid thing, correct? Hooray! Just to make sure that that's pointing to the right spot. No, not find all references, go to definition. Alright, good, that's the one that we're working on. So this function should basically take that prefab, it'll look at the settings, say does it need a space before it, okay, if so, add the space, if not, whatever, and we'll continue on, we'll request our section prefab. Okay, so that should all work. Now, I'm going to let that compile because I know it's going to spit out some complaints at me. Because it always does. And there we go. Interactive object. There we go. Okay, so we're going to say space after. I think I can just do that. Hooray! Second one. There we are. And that should be it. So let that compile. Make sure that it's. I have 4, but those might just be. Yep. Okay, good. So to test this, we're going to need to have a character, and that's going to be super fun. So I'm going to go ahead and add a character to the scene. I don't have one. Maybe I do have a prefab of this, actually. I would have called it me. So this, no, that's the speak section. So that's the prefab that I'm going to be passing in, but it's not what I need. So let's go ahead and create empty, zero it out. We'll call it me because I'm narcissistic like that. Let's add a cube. That's going to be the model. We're going to add some of our actor components. So we're going to have a model module, collision module. Add a character script, and we'll put it on the interactive layer. Yes, change children, and let's see, object info. I should have an assets. I'm guessing called me. Really? Did I delete it? This is gonna be fun. All right. Well, I can at least get the speak prefab, or not, because it doesn't want to do that. Of course it doesn't. So I can drag this in, create a speak section, and the speak section here is just customized to, I believe, have a different color. So it's going to output any text that it has in green, I want to say. And yeah, we can override color and do all that stuff. So let's try this. It's been a while since I've done this, so it's fun going back to it. Let's see here. Don't need any of this. Oh, yeah, it needs a freaking asset. So let me pull up my spreadsheet for this. Oops. Okay. Super fun. Go to text quest, design, interaction. I believe it's going to be under test. Test character, is that correct? Yay, it's me! Okay, this seems correct, so let's see what happens. Gotta export my JSON stuff. Let's see, all sheets, replace, unwrap, export cell arrays, I believe is what we want. Export sheet arrays, and should be good. Let's export that. Side note, my JSON, or my exporting data add-on for Google Sheets is now over 13,000 people using it. So that's exciting. And I'm going to plug it a little bit more. If you're doing any sort of game development, you should use it. It's great for stats and other things. All right, let's go ahead and pull that in here. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of dump it here in a terrible spot for it, but oh, you know what? I wonder if I called it actually test character. Oh, look at that. I already have it. That's nice. So I can get rid of this one then. Test character. There we go. Isn't that nice? All right. So let's plug you in. And let's prepare for any errors. I will be... Hooray! Okay. Okay, I think... Let's see what happens. Because I remember that this whole conversation system is kind of wonky. Hello, 18 Markwick. Welcome back. Let's see here. Oh, crap. It's like way down here. Okay. Talk about test. Shite. Wait, what do you mean you don't understand the word test? Okay, well that's annoying. Talk about rock. And there we go. So this is passing in a prefab that's getting output, and I guess let's do examine self. Good. So it looks like our spaces got put in there correctly. Let's go ahead and open up our UI. Container input root input scroll area. Okay, so Chris speak section that's in there. And was it doing? Well, that's interesting. It has a second thing for masking. So the speak section was handling that. Okay, so that's all stuff that we set up. Good, good, good. Gotta blow it all up. Gotta clean slate, Morty. Start all over again. I say as I take a drink. How are you tonight? By the way, 18 Markwick. Okay, and let me go ahead and look at this again. And let's see. Let's do talk about. Actually, I don't remember if I got ask about. Next quest. Oh, that's interesting. I do remember this. So saying Chris looks at you with a puzzled expression is it means that it didn't understand it. Um, maybe I need to say ask about game. Interesting. Maybe text quest is no longer recognized? That's a little worrisome. Could be that it's not pairing with them. I guess I changed how homages work, so. Oh, yeah, that kind of. Ooh. Doesn't really work. Ooh. Wonderful. Tired though? Well, it makes sense. You're on a much later time than I am. Um, so, getting into this a little bit more, one of the other reasons that we need to have this, or that I need to refactor how outputs work, is so for character interactions like this, where it's the character talking back to you. So in this case, when you say ask about game, say this game's been worked on for quite a while. Let's go ahead and do that. You can see that it fills in like you're talking, which makes sense because you would want sort of dialogue, quote unquote, to pop in over time as opposed to all at once. Because when you speak, you don't speak everything all at once. Sorry, I hit my mic. You don't speak everything all at once, and then people just understand that you speak from the beginning of a word to the end. And that's the point of having this sort of reveal. But when something like this happens, Chris looks at you with a puzzled expression. That's not talking. And in that case, it doesn't make sense for it to use the character output type. It should use the default one. So it should be the one that shows up when you type exam itself. So we're going to need to rework sort of how our output for interactive objects works. Is it narcissistic that I have a test character in there named after me? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's that bad. In any case, let's go ahead and stop. And I'm going to go over to our interactive object. Okay. And this is what this is the part that's going to suck the most, I think, because it seems like a lot of my stuff with interactive object. I haven't touched it for a long time because I've been trying not to, but also because every time I do, I I basically simplify a lot of stuff. So, for example, and actually, guess what? Looking at it now, I'm also going to go to section settings again. Go to definition. I'm going to change some stuff in here real quick. So we're going to kind of be all over the place with these things today. So interactive object. So interactive object has a check phrase is sort of the first in a phase of functions that will check your input and see how the object is going to try to handle it. And for that, we pass in the sentence, which is the actual groupings of words and their information that the input is. Then we go over to space after, which is I don't think actually used anymore. And then we have show name, which is for when you're doing multiple interactions like drop key and pick up knife. It would say after you type that in, you would have key dropped and then knife colon picked up or taken or whatever. So we probably should actually move show name to settings. So let's come up here and we're going to say public bool show name equals false. Okay. And we're also going to convert, this is going to be fun, we're going to convert space before from a bool to an int because I would like to allow for the possibility of having more than one space. Full disclosure, I don't intend to ever do anything besides one space, but I feel that it's good to expose that option for me in the future should I need it because I'm crazy like that. So let's go ahead and move this down to here. Oh, come on. this. Places. Place. I guess N. Capital N. Empty spaces before the section. Change this to an int. Space before is going to be 1, I guess, by default. Change that to 1. Space. I guess we'll say spaces before. Ta-da. And let me go ahead and comment some of these real quick, just so that I don't forget them, because I'm sure that I will at some point. How long the scroll to the new input field bottom should take. Again, that's basically how long the input field will take for it to go from where it was to where it will be after your input. And show the object's name when outputting text. All right, and we're going to say show name equals false. Bool show name. This dot show name equals show name. So this is going to be fun testing after we do that. Let's see here. And because I know that's going to complain about literally everything, let's just let it do that. Let it compile and then scream at me. Yep. Let's see. Yep. Let's see. False. Oh man, this is gonna be fun. False 0, I suppose, and then false and 1. All right. Let's come down here. So we're going to say settings dot spaces before is greater than 0. Oh, and you know what I can do? Fun, fun, fun. Hold on, where is it? Here it is. I can make this a uint. Ha ha ha. Oh, dang it. Can I do that here then? Fine. I can cast it to a uint. No reason that I can't. Because obviously spaces before should never have a negative value. So I might as well save myself some memory and make it a uint. An unsigned integer. Alright. So spaces before is greater than 0. And right here we have to do the fun stuff of converting it. So we're going to change this to int. Spaces before, spaces before. Yeah, bool. Show name. Show name. Still gonna complain? Nope. Okay. Let's go ahead over here. Yarg. Copy, paste. Show name. Spaces before. All right. Let that compile. I know it's going to complain again, but we will let it do its thing. Oh yeah, by the way, I guess Twitch changed its layout, which was very surprising. I logged on today and I was just like, I don't know where anything is. My stuff's on the top right when it used to be on the bottom left. Really? No more errors? Huh. I would have thought. All right. Wait, really? Is nothing using it? Oh my god, nothing's using it. That doesn't seem right. Well, okay. Let's see here. Da, 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 da. Oh. Yeah. Okay. So let me come over here, find all references. Inventory base item parser. Okay. So this is gonna be fun. Where should show name be? Yeah. Ah, jeez. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Well, that might not work then. See, so I could pass things via show name. Oh god, it's just gonna be super awkward. Um, so you know what? Before I do that, let's go ahead and go down here to our very bottom. So do verb will eventually call output result, which does this stuff. And by default, it's just gonna say output a text section. Let's go to our character. I'm guessing that this is going to call. Oh, really? It's only going to do. Oh, right, because it was a sort of hacked together solution. So how to do this? Um, so uh, oh jeez. Um, sorry, I'm just every time I think of something like this, and it's going to be super small, and then it ends up spiraling out in my head as soon as I think about it. Um, so I need to be able to request a specific um, prefab be sent, and I need to support not specifying that prefab, in which case it should use a default, which would be text section probably. Great. Um, so this is kind of why at some point I was experimenting with an enum value to basically retrieve a specific type, because I didn't want to try and parse this out in a spreadsheet. Because you gotta remember that this is sort of everything that I'm working with here. Particularly this output sheet handles all of the information that happens whenever you output a value or output a specific verb. So I could have an enum value in here that's like output type, um, or output section type, and that could be something like text, in which case it would be this text section, which is the default, or book, or I don't know, character, whatever. But that's not perfect 100% of the time, because in the cases of characters, as we've seen, um, characters need their own individual section. So passing an enum there won't do you any good. Um, Unless I just have an enum value for every single character, which is kind of dumb. So I would prefer not to do that. Um, and instead, I would like to wait, wait. No, no, that wouldn't work. I was thinking for a second there that I could actually convert this to have one base speak section prefab and uh, basically pass in settings for it, similar to what I do with the book. So I could say the reveal type, the reveals per second, override color for a specific color. Um, and I could do that, but it would mean that I would need to have an Uber speak section that can have every type of effect that I would ever need. And maybe that's not the worst idea, actually. Huh. Well, I guess I could. Um, so I guess sort of rapid fire thinking. Would there ever be a problem doing it that way? Because I'm also going to change output result here from passing a show name and space after parameter to probably just passing a settings parameter. Since, those things are kind of obsolete now. Um, So if that's the case, God, would that ever break? I'm trying to think of a situation that I wouldn't logically be able to think about. Um, hmm. Okay. Well, I guess the only way I would know is to try. Before I do that, though, I am going to go ahead and go to this definition. Okay. Do I end up needing anything for this? Let's see. Output string node isn't more empty. Where is verb being used here? Is it getting passed? No, but it is needed for a verb event. So I have to pass the verb here. And I'm pretty sure that I can't pass. Does the sentence have a verb? Sentence dot verb. Yes, but that's just the word. Okay, that's disappointing. So the verb is the actual information on the verb that you used. I guess that's true. That makes sense. I wouldn't be able to retrieve that from the word itself. It's always fun going back and looking at my old code because I gotta try to remember everything. So for this final output function, I'm going to need the verb, the sentence that is used, although I guess I really don't need the sentence that is used. Because it looks like the sentence is really kind of only being used for word checks, which I feel like that shouldn't even be an output result now that I think about it. I kind of feel like that should be in, like way up here, do verb, or hell, even check verb, or I don't have a. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I feel like I could skip the whole do verb function by just having this word check stuff up above. I don't think I need it down here. So, hooray. I think I could do it here at the beginning of check verb. Because I'm already doing it for require items. So I don't quite see why I couldn't do it with this. Maybe I put it there for convenience. But I don't see why not. So, welcome back. I'm going to try moving that though. Because, again, sentence is only being used here. And I don't really see why I should need to pass that whole parameter if it's only being used in one spot. And it's a spot that could be, moved forward in the process to save processing power. So let's do that. Then we'll be able to get rid of show name and space after, and that'll bring our total thing in output result down to 3 parameters. Okay. So let's go ahead and move this up. I'm going to put you up here. I want to do the beginning of check verb. Oh, no, I remember why. Right. Never mind, we can't do that. So the reason that we have it like that is because word checks don't change functionality, it should still do whatever was going to happen. Word checks are for specific things like um, typing. For example, if there's an item called yeast flask, and you type take flask or type take yeast flask, it would just say taken. But if you typed get yeast flask, then it would say you can't get yeast flask, um, or something like that. So I can't actually have it change functionality, and that's why it's an output result. I should probably comment that so I don't do something stupid. So where do I say dot is null or empty? That way I don't generate garbage. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and comment that so I don't forget what I'm doing there. We're going to say set output. Can't type tonight. Oh my god, I really can't type tonight. Set output to custom word check output. And then otherwise, oh, I guess I can just say if needed. That should handle that for us. Let's see, input type, section type equals get output section type. So we no longer need to do that, I don't think. So unfortunately, we do have to keep all of that. Let's see, output result. I'm gonna look for this result, and okay. So we can convert show name and space after to a settings object. But let's see what this function is doing first. So it's peak definition. Settings equals new settings. Okay, so we can get around that by just initializing it. And I guess we're just going to say, let's comment this out real quick. New section settings. Ooh, that's not ideal. Nah, you know what? It should be fine. So section settings, we'll pass in show name. Spaces before should probably be 0 by default, and scroll duration should be 0. F, I'm thinking. Okay. And I know you're not going to like that to start off, but don't worry, it's not done. Section settings, settings. Okay. Then, last but not least, same thing. Settings. Semicolon. And I know, again, you're not too happy about that. And I'm just going to get rid of you. So, section settings, settings. I do apologize. Today is kind of going to be, I feel, a little on the code heavy high side, which I always feel bad about, because it's going to be a lot of effort to not do a whole lot visually, but it will be a lot more flexible for later use. And I always feel bad whenever I see our view counter go up and then immediately drop back down after like 5 seconds of someone watching me like, this is probably the most boring stream ever. Okay. Let's see. Output. Oh man. I'm also wondering if I should change my output to be a string builder instead of a freaking like new string every time I need to change something. Okay. That's probably fine. Let's see here. Show name. So output. Yeah. trying to think of how to kind of. Okay, hold on. Okay, so we're gonna say, oh, jeez. So we're gonna say, oh boy. So output already is a string. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to mess with that right now. So let's go ahead and say if settings.showName, then our output is going to be name plus the output. Otherwise, it's just going to remain the output. And I guess I don't need to assign it if it's already been done. So let's go ahead and say if settings.showName output is equal to that. And we'll say if string is null or empty, output dot is null or empty, output is equal to verb dot output. Again, no reason to assign it to itself. That's probably just generating garbage, not needed. And that, I suppose. Okay. This is going to be super fun because a lot of stuff is going to break, I bet. Well, thank you for letting me know that it's okay. I always feel just like a massive ego blow whenever someone, like my viewership bumps for like 5 seconds and then it just goes back down. I'm like, there was someone who I could have pulled in, but I'm doing boring stuff at the moment. And I always feel bad about it. Okay. Oh, jeez. Yeah, this is going to suck. Oh, jeez. Let me peek this. Yeah. God. Okay. This is going to suck. This is going to be a massive overhaul, actually. So before I can do that, we're going to go to our verb class. Definition. Why is this blocked off? That's weird. Oh, jeez. So I need to add a public. Yeah, and like I said, like this is all stuff that's not particularly exciting in the moment, but it will let me do a lot cooler things later. And I just, it sucks to stream this sort of thing, and I really probably shouldn't have streamed this while I was working on it like this, because I know it wasn't going to be that glamorous, but, I also think it's cool to show you guys what I'm doing in the background. Anyway, so we're going to say public, wow, this is just going to be super, like, weird. We'll do public input section output section prefab. And let's go back to interactive object. And this is where it's going to be fun. So I actually don't need this generic function anymore. I don't think I'm going to get anything from it. No. Okay. Let's go from here to protected virtual void output result, and we're basically going to copy like all of this, except we are going to also pass in input section prefab. Why can't I type tonight? Prefab. Okay. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. Get rid of this stuff. I feel like it's going to be half an hour before we actually get to do anything visual. It's going to be a lot of code. Yeah. Oh man. So I guess while I'm doing all this stuff, because it's going to take a little bit of time, how's everyone doing? Aside from being tired, anything exciting going on? Let's see, output results, and we're going to pretty much have to do this, won't we? Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and type null. Okay, so that should be that. And that actually makes sense to do this. Where was this getting overridden? Interactive object. Okay. But I don't think that's actually needed anymore. No. It kind of is. God dang. Argle. Basically trying to think out how I'm going to assign these section prefabs because I don't want to do them by hand. They should get parsed in ahead of time. But that means I'm going to have to do some crazy editor shenanigans to get it to actually do so. That is not ideal. So output results section prefab. We're going to have to do all this stuff, which is fine. Because I don't think I need... No, I guess I should keep the generic brackets thing, because it is useful. It's just... it's not great. Yep, okay. Alright, let's see, come down here. And... we're not passing in settings there, which I guess is fine. I always hate it when I get like this. I kind of get paralyzed by trying to scope out everything in my head. Because basically the problem is I need to be able to pass the section prefab and its settings. But there are certain situations where it doesn't really make sense for me to have to assign a prefab. But at the same time, I'm thinking about how I would handle this when I'm parsing things like in the inspector. Should I have a editor class that knows about all the prefabs and then we'll assign them appropriately? What should that look like? Jeez. Obviously that won't work for characters. So that's not gonna friggin' work. because I cannot, I don't want to ever have to manually drag in prefabs into the inspector for these things. I mean, it's fine for things like the character, but not on a per verb basis. That would suck. Um, and the idea here would be that if it's null when it gets sent in, it's just going to be the default section, which is fine. But for anything else, I have to assign it somehow. I don't know how I want to do that. What's even worse is that I can't really come up with an editor solution until I fix all these compilation errors, which is great. So let's see here. Section okay. Let's go ahead and output. I kind of think I can convert string builder to an or output to a string builder, but I think I'll just do a to do there. To do convert output to string builder. Alright. And for now, I'm just going to whole cloth copy this. I hate having duplicate code, and that's why I was saying I think I can, or should convert it, but it's fine. Alright, so we're going to say there's our output. Then we will say section prefab, then settings. Alright, and I guess before I do anything there, let's go to definition here. And we're going to need to go over here and say here we are. If section prefab is equal to null, section prefab is equal to get section prefab text section. It's going to be the basic default text section. So that way I can pass in null values there and not worry about it. Let's go over to interactive object. And I guess that's kind of it for now. You know what? I actually don't need to do that. I can just do this. I can just pass in the verb dot section prefab, can't I? So we're going to do comma here, verb dot section output section prefab, and then settings. Oh, crap. Seriously? Dang it. Of course I shot myself in the foot with that generic stuff. Alright, so no getting around that then. Which is boo. Boo, boo, boo. Boo on you, sir. Nope, you know what? Nope. We're going to do that then. So we are still going to do that. We're going to say verb dot section prefab, then settings, and we are going to add a new function over here in parser. And let's see here. We're going to say, I want to put it above it. I guess I don't really have a choice. Yes. We're going to say public static void output result t string output input section prefab. Why do I keep typing pregab tonight? Prefab section settings equals null. Oh, I should call it actually settings. And we're going to say where t derives from input section. All right. And let's go ahead and pretty much do the same thing here, except we're going to say settings output is if settings is equal to null, if section prefab is equal to null. This is where it's kind of gonna get bad. I need to, well, you know what? No, I don't need to do anything special there, do I? I can just say section prefab comma. I know that means we're gonna have to go to my freaking input view and add a new generic text thing or add text for it. So it's just a never-ending stream of adding functions. Okay, well, I can get rid of that because that is now the case. Oh, right. Add spaces is going to be settings dot spaces before. Seriously, is it because it's a UN? Screw it. Still need to figure out, I guess, a convenient way of doing all that. Okay. And settings dot spaces before. Okay. So, is add text being used at all? Nope. Getting rid of you. All right. How about you? Nope. Getting rid of you. All right. Okay. So let's say a generic one that takes us to a section of prefab. So we're going to say, probably just copy this whole thing, can't I? Ah, it's so gross that I have all this stuff. So I'm actually going to get rid of you, and I'm going to come up here, copy you. So you will be a little bit more convenient now, won't you? This, make it generic, and copy our input section where, and we're going to say get prefab t. Okay, I think that will, that should handle it. That should handle it. I'm hoping. Okay. So now if we go to parser, is that complaining? No. If we go to input or interactive object, is this complaining? No. Good. Okay. So I guess the question here is, should I guess it's just going to do it there, in which case that's fine. So yeah, these generic calls are fine. Making them text sections are fine. Okay. Let's let that compile. I know I'm still going to have some complaints. Yeah, I am adding some complexity here by making these necessitate new section settings. But I'm probably okay. Am I ever going to want to change that? No, I don't think so. Well, you know what? Yeah, we'll just keep it like that for now. God, this is gonna suck. So, right, here's where it gets kinda terrible. Um, so I think that's down here. Get output section type. So successive effects turns this. Huh, okay. Did that even do anything though? No, we weren't using it. Okay, weird. I was just referencing it. Let's go ahead and come up here. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and collapse that down. Get rid of the section type stuff. It's not being used anymore. Let's go ahead and get rid of this stuff. Hit save. Okay. Da, da, da. I guess I will keep this to do here. You, put you here. All right. Kind of cleaning things up as I go. Is not, oops, not is null or empty. All right. Da, 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 da. Is in inventory, cached inventory. Okay. Now, no more errors in that script. Let's go ahead and let it compile. Yep, 8 more. That seems about right. Okay. Here's where it's going to get fun. We're going to say new book section. No, not book section. Book section settings. Then we're going to have show name 0. Ooh, here's where it gets a little iffy. So I need to go to book section, I think. Book section. Let's see. Initialize. So if settings are equal to null. Wait, are settings not even being used here? Hold on. Well, that explains some things. I guess I'm going to hardcode this to like 0.1 for now. And do I have a color? Crap. I need a random color. So, how lovely. Ah, jeez. How was I doing color before? Um, right. I had min and max colors on this. I think, can I pass a null color value? Just out of curiosity. No, that's disappointing. Can I do like color? Is there a none or something? No, I guess that would make sense. Yeah. Great. Because with the books, I need to be able to pass them colors, but I also need to be able to not pass them colors. So, um, that is not super great, but I guess I will have to do something like this. That true will not mean anything right now. We're going to change that. Also, I guess I can get rid of you for now. Okay, so Let's go over here to. Did I really not have it open? Okay, fine. Books section settings. All right. So I'm going to have a public bool here. Public bool randomize color is equal to false. I'll do that. That's fine. Okay. Jeez. Let's do bool randomize color equals false. Stock randomize color equals randomize color. Oh, go on. Randomize color. And we will do the same thing, although screw it. We'll say stock randomize color is equal to false here. Because I don't know why you would specify a cover color if your randomized color was not, or was going to be random. And I don't know why you would specify a color if your color was going to be random. So, kind of going to do that. And the reason I'm doing it that way is because now I can come over here and say, oh boy. Oh dear. Book settings. Book settings is equal to settings. I don't remember if using as on a null value will actually break things for you. I guess we'll find out. As books settings. Okay, and then we're going to say equals book settings dot randomize color question mark or not. We're going to say book settings dot color or cover color. So if you are not randomizing colors, then use a specific cover color in the book settings. If you are, then random range. Have at it. Do whatever you want. Okay. So let that compile. Still have a lot of errors. Okay. Hey, this is gonna take a while because it's so much fun. This. Do that. Okay. Apparently someone is having a good time outside. Ah, man. I don't know what it is. I just don't feel very high energy today. It's because I got up early. I don't know. Could be any number of things. Okay, combination object. That's done. I kind of try to speed through this stuff. And again, like a lot of this, like if we play it and we don't notice any difference, that means everything's working. That's the very frustrating part of what we're doing tonight is that it's not that it's pointless, it's that it's not very stimulating visually. It's like good music. Music that you recognize as bad has failed because you recognize it as bad music. But music that's really good, you might not even think twice about, which is unfortunate, but how a lot of things work. Really? Was that it? Okay. Well, let's try it out. See what happens. Examine self. Shite. Okay, I'm getting a lot of ones in there. That's annoying. Why? Wait, hold on. Let's get rid of our because I'm making new section settings here. And I'm guessing it's actually in my parser. Yes. Okay, you should be 0 by default. Okay. Because again, like I mentioned when I first started doing the section setting stuff, there probably will only ever be spaces before inputs. Now I'm leaving the option open for if I need it, but largely spaces are only really needed before inputs to separate inputs and outputs from previous inputs and outputs. So let's not do that yet. Let's do, oh, and that's interesting. Oh, that's a little bit of an oversight now, isn't it? So it's going to stay like that until I go off. That's fun. Hello, the Jalmega. Welcome back. So I'm going to try examine self again. Good. See that again. Good, we get spaces. Okay, now here comes the fun part. Okay, that's not bad. So it worked. And now let's test our character one. Ask about game. Ask about self. Okay. And to bring you up to speed, Jalmega, we're working on multiple input sections and having more control over them. Okay, so Chris looks at you with a puzzled expression. So let's try changing the character script. Let's see. Character. So we're going to say parser.output, phrases.output. Okay, now this is where it gets a little tricky. So with the character, we don't want it to say object name looks at you with a puzzled expression with the character speech prefab because it doesn't make sense because you're not talking. It should be your default one. And that means let's go ahead and say I think the unknown. Well, actually, no. No, hold on. Here you go. Unrecognized phrase. We actually don't want it to use the speak prefab. I don't think. I think we would want it to just use the regular prefab. So the idea being again that characters should only show their custom section when they're speaking, not when they're doing an action or something that wouldn't directly come from there. Well, maybe when they're doing an action, but we'll see how this looks. So, ask about game. Okay, then ask about. Do I have life in there? I don't have life. I have lift. Okay, ask. I guess I was interpreting lift as a. Dang it! It should have interpreted that as a noun. That's annoying. Ask about self. Okay, that's good. That's what we wanted. And self. Okay, so everything looks like it's in order there. I am going to come over here to our. Where are you? So before we can do anything super crazy, collapse these down. Need to go to verbs. So I'm going to need to add a new reference here to or a new field here. Super fun. So let's go to interactive object. Interactive. I can't type. Object. There should be an inspector. Okay. And we're gonna have to go to all of our verbs, which is the best. This inspector is a monster. So we're going to draw a verb. We have our output, I believe is what we're looking for. Okay. And where would we want to put that? Let's see. Successive factor. Maybe Maybe under success effect? That kind of makes sense. Well, yeah, maybe it should go under all of this stuff. So like at the very bottom. Let's see, data value. Okay. So editor GUI layout. Oh man, I was very rude, by the way, Jelmega. How are you doing tonight? Property field, verb, dot find property relative. And that's going to be, I don't even remember what I called it. Section prefab, something like that. Output prefab. There we go. Output section prefab. Let's look for that. All right. Fortunately, it's not too complex to add new things to this. So this should pop up a new field right below data value. Shazam. All right. So now we can specify override prefabs if we need them, but only if we need them. And again, the reason that we kind of need to do that is because when we're reading, say, a paper note, it shouldn't be the book that shows up as ASCII art. It should be the note. So I'm going to come over here to book test, and I'm going to go to read, output, and then I'm going to, I hate that it doesn't look for, can I do like anything that's a type of, I wonder. Probably not, which is unfortunate. That's fine. So I'm going to look for this book section. Empty section, book. So book section should go there. And actually, if I do that, I don't know. I guess I will still need logic for the book. But now I think I can say. I guess it doesn't really matter for something like this. Well, no. Yeah, I guess that's fine. So it's not going to matter too much for the book section because the book section is kind of specialized. I am also going to like bump that up to 0.25. But it might be a little bit more noticeable here. So let's go. So I'm going to have to refactor item a little bit. And I'm going to go up to our do verb, I believe, is what I want. I guess, you know what? No, I'm not really going to need that, am I? Okay. So let's try this out. I think if we go to the castle, we should have a test in the castle, and if it works on the first try, I will be amazed. I am just picturing that it's not going to work on the first try. So let's go ahead and say, let's go to the castle. Okay, don't click on that. I'm going to have to change some item stuff, which is going to be fun. Currently trying to implement a good loop to handle messages. Works with SGL now in 32. More stuff to loop. Okay. Okay, let's bump over here. And let's go to our dropped items. Items. We want the invoice, which of course actually isn't going to show us anything. So we're going to look for invoice, not invoice, invoice. Okay, we have our royal invoice. Let's go to read, and I'm going to assign my read section here. And let's see what happens. Okay. So now when I read that note, it should not be the default text section, nor should it be the book section. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here. Move this over. Don't want to go through the entire level, so here should be fine. All right. Read and dang it! Yeah, so close. Okay, so let's figure out why that didn't work. We're going to come down to output results. Okay, go to definition. Is it because I didn't? No, it's fine. Oh, wait, is it? Ah, that's why. I gotta say verb dot output section prefab and then settings as well. Okay. The annoying thing is that SDL and Win32 do it in different ways. I need some workarounds. Well, I mean, I wish I could help you there. Lower end, like close to the operating system stuff, is kind of outside of my specialty. I've never really dove into that. It's one of those things that I feel would be interesting, but also it's something that would just that's a deep rabbit hole to go down. So I've held off on doing that until I have a major reason to do so. Read and yes, ha ha ha. Yes, that's good. And just to double check, examine. Yes, nice. All right, so it was just a minor oversight. That makes me so happy. So, oh my god, I gotta have like a piece of wood or something that I smack my head whenever I think of an idea for things that do not need to happen. I just thought that it would be cool to have an ASCII animation where it's the note is initially rolled up and then when you type read it'll pop up and then roll down. But I don't need to do that. I don't need to be crazy. Not right now anyway. Okay. That makes me happy. So secret passages. Okay. So that's all fine. And I don't remember if this will work with. Nope. The answer to that question is nope. I was worried about that. I was really worried about that actually. That's really bad, isn't it? Unless my canvas scaler did not. Hold on. Hold everything. Do I need this to be 800 now? Oh, good. Oh, good. So it will work at 16 by 10. It just needs to make sure that I, adjust my reference resolution as appropriate. That's good. That's good. Um, that's one of the things that's been in the back of my mind as we do these ASCII art things. Um, I need to be able to support both 16 by 10 and 16 by 9 resolutions, and obviously the ASCII art for 16 by 9 will break if 16 by or on 16 by 10. But fortunately, as long as I make sure that my reference resolution for the canvas scaler is correct on each resolution, which it should be, it should automatically detect that. Um, then we should be fine. So, almost had a panic attack there. I was like, no, didn't want to redo that. Um, okay, so we have things I think where we need them to be for our output system. Um, and just to sort of get a sense of where everything is right now, let's go ahead and go back to our cabin. Because that, I guess, is for some reason just where all of my test things are right now. And I'm going to drag the invoice into this level So let's go to invoice. Let's grab you. Pull you in. Focus up. Over here. And I'm just gonna kind of roughly position it on the table. Because, you know, where else would I put a note? Let's put you like right here. All right. And then let me move, I guess, me over here. Let's not try to put him somewhere in the center of the room. Let's put him like there. That's fine. That's good enough. All right. So now we should be able to see every form of output field that we have so far, or output section. So to start off, we have our default examine self, you. Let's type I, make sure that everything's working. We have spacing as appropriate. Okay. Then book. There's our scrolling. We do have a bit of a hiccup there, but that's not the input field stuff. That's my Markov generation. I need to speed that up. Okay, so that's the book. Oh, and to just double check, let me type read again. Make sure that it's not always purple, and that it is randomizing. Good. Yeah, you can see that in smaller cases, I actually do get that nice quick scrolling. But in cases where it has to generate a lot of text, it clearly does not have a good time and it hangs. Okay, so that's the books versus the note reading, which will give us a more paper type ASCII art. That's fine. Examine note. Good. So for non-reading stuff, it's not going to be ASCII art. It's just going to be the regular description. And don't need to do the bear yet. Let's say ask about game. Okay, so it slowly spells out things, which is what you would want for a text or for a conversation. Then we're going to say ask about, I can't say life, which is so disappointing. Let's see, ask about rock, and then ask about self. So if you ask a character something that they don't recognize, they're going to say in the regular text section, they look at you with a puzzled expression or whatever else, you know, their actual default thing is going to be. Okay, so we're in a good spot, I think. I don't think I need to do anything else right now. I think there are some optimizations that I can do. Like I can probably convert this output to a string or a string builder object instead of an actual string, because as it is right now, there's just a lot of string replacing going on. Like you can see, I'm concatenating a lot of things, which is it's okay, but obviously not great. So I can speed things up, I feel, on the background a little bit, but trying to think if there's anything else I want to do tonight. Those were kind of my big points, like getting the system actually updated. I was hoping to get to some nice in-world text effects, like having a character talk before you get to them and having their text just sort of pop up over them, but that's... I think I need to think about how I want to present that a little bit more, because there are only a few characters that are going to do that, and I need to stylize it or come up with a better way, or a good way of doing it, besides just, you know, popping the text up. Let's see. Sorry, I like looking at my ASCII art because I'm narcissistic like that. So is there anything else in the system that I need to do while we're here? Because currently we just passed the verb section prefab entity settings. No, I think that's fine. Okay. So, I guess before we sure that everything actually still works. Good. Okay. Um, I still need to come up with title pages for books. That is something that I still need to do. Which. Oh yeah, the character says hero. Um, that is there is a section later on that you will have your reflection, or rather, you will have a mirror in the world, and you'll be able to see your reflection. Um, just because the level is kind of going to be. That's funny. That level is going to be kind of weird and trippy. So you're going to see your reflection, and then it's going to not follow you sometimes. Other times it will. So there will be one section where you do actually see your character. And the color is also your favorite color. So it's one of those things where for 99% of the game, you're probably not going to notice it, and you will probably never see it. Um, and if you don't go, I'm probably going to make that other room optional. So it's entirely possible that people will play the entire game never seeing their character or their favorite color on their character or anything like that. So because I believe in putting insane amounts of detail into things that people will never see. Because I'm crazy like that, I guess. Let's see. So let's look at our code real quick. See if there's anything major that I need to do to stabilize it. I think for the most part, it's just going to be a lot of optimizations. Although, actually, let me go to item. No, I'm in item. Good. Is its output result any different? Let's see. It's kind of doing the same thing that interactive objects output result with generic brackets is doing. Oh, it's this part. Yeah, it's this part it's the cached inventory stuff. Um, yeah. So I guess I do need to actually keep this gross. I really didn't want to do that. Ugh. Yeah, that's not great. Um, okay. I'm gonna put a little to do here because it might be better to move this before putting. Actually, I guess I should put this on a specific line because I don't want to do it for this entire block. I want to just do this for this line right here. So, uh, question mark. God, yeah, this whole system is so ancient and archaic and so bad. There are so many faults with this thing. I hate looking at my. This is some of the earliest stuff I coded, which is why it's so nasty. It just does not look good. All right. I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything else that I really need to do to get the basics of that system in place because it's all our update or not our update system. Our output system is now up to date. Kind of. It's still nasty, but I think it's basically going to be a lot of tinkering from my end. Oh, you know what? Actually, we can test. There is something I do want to test. I don't think I can actually test it in this level, so I'm going to have to go to my castle level real quick. I gotta try doing multiple things with multiple objects and make sure that their names show up appropriately, because that's kind of important. Oh, and I guess I can actually show you cases of where I'm thinking of doing that text over the character. So let's go ahead and run through here. The first case would actually be. I can maximize on play too, might as well. So the first case would be here when the wizard shows up. So currently I say like magic wall surrounds the king and we have stuff going on in the bottom of the screen. But it might be nice to have the wizard talk and have him I forgot I made them rotate to face you all the time. Ooh, that's kind of gross. I think I may actually be able to get around that because I think we can do sprite sorting groups now. But anyway, in situations like that where the wizard shows up, I would kind of like to have him mock you and have him talk to you, and that would mean that words would appear over him. And what would be really cool is if I made the words that he spoke turn into his spells. Um, again, because obviously I just want to have as much work as possible heaped on top of me, but it would look super cool and much better than whatever I have right now. So let's see. I'm going to take the note, read it, make sure that that's all correct. I'm going to take it. Okay. This. Oh, was my. Hold on. I guess I made it like mostly opaque black. That's like really, really dark. That's fine. Okay. Let's see. Let's open this up. Let's say take all. Okay, so now I'm going to try dropping everything. I don't think drop all will work, does it? Nope. That's unfortunate. So let's do scepter and key. Yeah, you're going to be like that, aren't you? Oh, wait, I didn't pick up a key. That's right. Drop, scepter, and note. Yep, I was a little worried about that. So, gross. So, I mean, we did get the name showing up, but then we got spammed twice that the scepter wasn't in our inventory. That's interesting. Hold on. Do I have the inventory? So I still have the note. Let's take scepter and drop note. That's interesting. It's double stacking. Interesting. That makes me think that my parser is screwing up. Um, because it's taking. So this should be separated into two separate sentences. Take scepter and drop note. And then it should basically look at each sentence and say, does it have a verb? Does it have a noun? Does it have a verb? Does it have a noun? And if a sentence doesn't have a noun, it's going to try to use the other section or the other sentence's nouns. And if it doesn't have a verb, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm actually kind of curious. Let's turn on debugging for our parser real quick. And this is why I have a debug option up here. So I'm going to set this to be true. So now, this is going to be super fun, by the way. We're going to get to see what this looks like. It's going to be like a massive outpouring of information. So you guys are going to get to see what the parser does whenever I debug. And I'm also going to go ahead and move spawn points. I'm going to turn on test spawn. Just because that means I won't have to walk through the wizard cutscene every time we need to do something. I can just pop in right here. Alright. So let's take this. Open. Take all. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this. I'm not going to turn maximize on play on because I need to see the console. So we're going to say drop not center, scepter. Okay. Let's clear that. And now we're going to say take scepter and drop note. Okay. So we got 59 debugs. We're checking homages, receiving inputs, take scepter and drop note. It reset the parser? Oh, I guess, yeah, that's right. It's going to do that before it does anything. Setting joint words, obscenities, commands, validating sentence. So nothing's gone wrong here. The verb doesn't look like it got set. Frack. So if it gets set, I thought Oh, I guess I don't have a debug in there saying that the verb is now this. Probably should do that. Let's see. Direction, direct object have been set to scepter. Where's it been set to null? Okay, so that's the first sentence. But it only does. Let's see. Direct object, scepter. That's super weird. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So that's why it does it 3 times. What the heck? That is incredibly weird. Now you gotta love it when you use a third-party library and they don't work. Okay, so let's go to here. Direct objects. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and stop playing real quick. I'm going to come up here. We're going to do a couple of things. Let's go to setting verb, and suppose we'll go ahead and say if debug.log not doormat format. We're going to say verb has been set to, and we're going to say sentence.verb equals null, question mark, if so, sentence.verb word. What are you doing? So null. Oh, that already was a word. Okay, yeah, verb was the word. Right. All right. So before we do that, I want to see how many sentences that I have. So we're going to go from validate sentence to check commands. Joint words. Okay, so we should do set multiple sentences, new sentences. Okay. If debug.log. We know what, so we'll just say number of sentences plus new sentences.count. So just realized that I completely did not use sentence.format or string.format correctly down here in verb. Yeah. This should just be 0 and comma. Although I guess I could have just as easily have done plus, but yeah, whatever, it's fine. Alright. Your own static library that I use in another project, but if I change something in the library project, does not compile the project we uses it. Huh. Okay. That makes sense to use the engine code in the engine editor, obviously. Let's see. Let's do take open. I'm also gonna, let's just try clear this. Oh my god, I get it. You're building materials. Like, way more than you should, but drop note. Okay. Open, take all. Alright, let's clear this. We're going to say take note and drop scepter. Interesting. So, yeah, that's right. Number of sentences 2. Does it set my sentences more than once? No. Then why does it on the second sentence just go nuts? Huh. That's interesting. Huh. Well, well, well. Let's see. I sometimes feel like I should color code these. Because you can apparently do color highlighting, so I feel like if I color coded these to be a little bit more readable, like if I had a Roy G. Biv sort of situation, I could tell where it was roughly. But in any case, let's see. So we have 2 sentences, which is correct, but it's weird that we have 4 outputs. Setting joint words, obscenities, setting verb has been set to take. Direction set to null. Okay, direct object has been set to invoice. Okay, so setting joint words, checking for obscenities. Setting verb has been set to drop. Setting quantity, setting direction set to direct object. Direct object has been set to invoice, and scepter. Why? That is so weird. Okay. Oh my god, what the hell? Really? Find all references to. Oh, jeez, this isn't gonna be annoying. Okay. Let's see here. Hey. Maybe I should have like a debug and a robust debug bool that I can toggle to allow me to see exactly what's getting set. Okay. Because I kind of feel like my direct objects in the sentence are really just going bonkers for some reason. Um, let's see, where do I set them? Okay, if objects.count is equal to 1, or objects.count is equal to cache subjects.count. Sentence.direct objects, that's fine, I think. Except this is the only place. Hold on, do I say what my cached objects are when I start? No, I guess not. Because it's interesting that it doesn't, like the first sentence goes off the way it should, and the second sentence is just nuts. Um, so what is this? Cached subjects. That's if it's adjective only, which should not be the case. Interesting. Okay. I almost want to say, let's have a number of sentences 2. I'm gonna have a if debug log format Start sentence number. And then our actual sentence value. So we're going to say I, then new sentences of I dot. I'm pretty sure I did this. I should have a function in here to make it like a string, basically. Except I probably don't remember what any of that is. So let's look up sentence. Sentence. Was it value? Oh, it's just value. Hooray! Okay, back over here. Value. Oh, damn it. Of course, it's not that easy. Of course, not great. So, well, that's less helpful than I would have liked. I'm guessing that's because my set joint words is actually going to output a sentence within its thing. So maybe I should move this down to here. So let's go to joint words, go to definition, setting joint words, and then we're going to say, geez, I hate doing it here, but I don't really have a good choice. Yeah, fine. So this is, geez. Maybe I can put it at the end of the sentence. So should I go over here? Debug. Let's do output sentences, and then we'll say dot value. Okay. Okay. Let's see what that ends up looking like. So we should, with this, be able to get the actual sentence, like the words that are in the sentence, and that should help us with this debug. It's just really weird that it's assigning all of these things. Okay. I really need some sort of unit testing for these because there is a lot of stuff in the parser that I will just forget about, which means that come shipping day, there's going to be a horrendous bug somewhere that I just didn't know about. Open, take all, drop scepter and note. Of course, I was stupid when I did this, so hold on. Take. I should clear this before I do anything. Drop scepter and note. Alright, so we got number of sentences 2. I've been set to scepter. I don't know why there's a space here, which is a little worrying. Let's see. Finished parsing. So drop scepter, I guess, has a new line or something. See, that's what's interesting is the note here. That means that it is storing them from cached value. No, that's right. So in this case of drop scepter and note, the sentences are drop scepter, and the second sentence is note. And because note is not a sentence in and of itself, it's going to look at drop scepter and say, okay, do you have a verb? I'm going to take your verb. So this note, or this sentence note, implicitly has drop as its verb. And, obviously that works, but it's clearly not doing it the way it should. Okay. So it's the direct objects then. Okay, let's see here. Setting direct objects. Sentence not direct object. Wait. Hold on. No, that's fine. Okay. So sentence not direct objects. Let's find this again. The only place that I saw it setting it was here. Set direct objects. From the sentence. Okay. But no. Well, hold on. Yeah, they should clear things up a little bit. So that's when we're outputting sentences. That's not actually what we need. We need to go down to like line 900 or something. No. Are we setting our direct object here? I think this is our setting direct object. Okay. So we have inferred interactions if our determiner is not equal to null. And if it's all, then it should be all of our inferred interactions. What about you? Are we debugging a number here? Quantity set to 1. But yeah, I'm not seeing okay, so it's not there. So it's not our cache subjects being set. What about here? Interacting objects. We just add it, huh? Interacting objects. Okay. I think that might. Let's put a debug in here. So we're going to say debug.log. Of course, I did all the wrong debugs. Debug.log test. See, that would set one object. Fine. I don't think that's going to be it. Cache subjects. Sentence.direct object. Again, that's 0, so that shouldn't be multiple objects. Sentence direct object equals no cache counting. Otherwise, we're going to look at all of our interacting objects. Let's do debug.log test2. Sentence.do adjectives log test 3 and items of 0, items of I. Log test 4. Okay. Let's see. It should show up in this, hopefully in that debug net that we just cast. Weird. I wonder what changed. Maybe I'm not clearing values like I should. I saw that it's only on the direct object. Open, take all. Alright, so clear you. We're going to say drop, note, and scepter. Alright. Test 3. Okay, so test 3 is setting it to our cached subjects, which already is problematic actually, because that means that at some point something is being added to cache subjects twice. Because you can see that our cache subjects are, or direct objects are invoice, invoice, and scepter, and it should not do that. It should really only be invoice and scepter, not invoice and scepter. Now, is that the case for? It's interesting. So it's also the case here. Okay. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Gelmega. Yeah, sorry I kind of got sidetracked into the parser. Today was a little bit of a slow, low energy day, and I always feel bad whenever I have one of those days on the stream. But thank you for stopping by. I always appreciate it. Let's see. So test 3 is the problem sentence, not neo adjective. So direct object. Why are you no? Because that means that it's setting it to the cached subjects. So something has to be setting cached subjects for some reason. Okay. I guess I will add a safety check here and say if objects contains, so if it doesn't contain that, we will add it. That should help prevent the duplicate, hopefully at least. Let's see. Do I have any other time when I would add this? No. Okay. So let's see if that fixes some of the issue, in the sense of the cache subjects being sort of stacked up. It's really weird. It's really weird. So take, open, no, Poen, open, take all. Okay. All of the procedural materials. So drop, scepter, and note. It did not fix our problem. Interesting. So it still tried to do it 3 times. That is so weird. Okay. Plus cached subjects dot to array to delimit. Do I not have a to delimited string? What the frig? Hold on. Or am I not using common here? Okay, apparently I am. I just don't have that. I could have sworn that I did. I guess that wouldn't really matter anyway. Shite. Okay. So.
Huh. This is quite annoying. I don't know why it's doing this either.
Okay. Well. Alright. I might call it a night here on the stream just because a lot of what I'm going to be doing for the rest of tonight is probably poking and prodding my parser to figure out what happened. Um, hmm. Yeah, not entirely sure what's going on here. So, yeah, it's been about almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. So, um, kind of sucks that we're leaving on a down note like that. But, low energy day. So ending on a down note seems appropriate somehow. Um, any announcements? Not off the top of my head. We should be back on Saturday doing our Saturday custom content stream. Um, getting some more of our custom game map working. And that should be on at around 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to tune in for that. Should be pretty exciting. Nothing else really going on right now. So as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching. And I will see you all next time.